They say that deep within the Richtersveld of South Africa, there lies a cave filled with diamonds. A treasure so vast, it could make any man a king. But this treasure is not unguarded. The stories call it the Grootslang, the Great Snake, an ancient, primordial creature, as old as the world itself, born from a mistake of the gods. It was meant to be the most powerful creature ever created, a terrifying fusion of elephant and serpent. But they gods, realizing their error, split the Grootslang into two separate species. The first elephants and the first snakes. However, one of the original Grootslangs escaped, and from its line descended the monstrous guardians of that diamond cave. For centuries, the legend was just that, a story whispered around campfires, a cautionary tale for greedy children. But in the 19th century, during the great colonial scramble for Africa's riches, whispers turned into expeditions. Men of fortune, hardened explorers, and desperate prospectors heard the call of the Grootslang's horde. They saw not a mythical beast, but a challenge, an obstacle between them and unimaginable wealth. One of the most famous accounts comes from a British prospector named Peter Grayson. In 1888, Grayson, a man who had made and lost fortunes across the globe, became obsessed with the tale. He gathered a team of experienced guides and adventurers, armed with the best equipment the era could provide. They were convinced that the stories were exaggerated folklore, a way for local tribes to protect a valuable resource. They believed their rifles and dynamite would be more than a match for any great snake. They ventured into the arid, mountainous landscape of the Richtersveld. The sun beat down on them relentlessly. The terrain was brutal, a labyrinth of sharp rocks and deep ravines. For weeks, they searched, following cryptic maps and the vague directions of reluctant locals. Many of their party grew disheartened, believing they were on a fool's errand, but Grayson's iron will push them forward. Finally, they found it, a dark fissure in the side of a cliff, an opening that seemed to breathe a cold, damp air that defied the desert heat. The locals called it the Wonder Hole, or the Bottomless Pit. Legend claimed it connected directly to the sea. Some 40 miles away, as they lit their torches and stepped inside, the air grew thick with the smell of wet earth and something else. Something ancient and musky. The entrance gave way to a vast cavern, and there, in the flickering torchlight, they saw it. The walls of the cave weren't rock. They were encrusted with raw, uncut diamonds. They glittered and shone, reflecting the flames like a galaxy of trapped stars. It was a sight beyond their wildest dreams. The men whooped and cheered, their exhaustion and fear forgotten, replaced by pure, unadulterated greed. They began stuffing their pockets and bags, laughing at their good fortune. But Grayson felt a growing unease. The cave was unnaturally silent. The only sounds were their own joyful shouts and the clinking of diamonds. He noticed something else, too. Piles of bones, some animal, some disturbingly human, were scattered amongst the jewels. Old, rusted equipment picks, shovels, and the remnants of lanterns lay, half buried in the dusty floor. A chilling realization dawned on him. They were not the first to find this place. That's when they heard it. A low, resonant sound that wasn't quite a hiss, not quite a growl. It seemed to come from the very walls around them, a vibration that hummed through the soles of their boots. The torches flickered as a gust of foul-smelling air swept through the cavern. The cheering stopped. The men froze, their faces pale in the wavering light. From a deeper, darker tunnel at the far end of the chamber, something began to move. It was immense, far larger than any snake or elephant they had ever conceived of. 2 points of light, like malevolent green lamps, ignited in the darkness. Tay-weary eyes filled with an ancient intelligence and a bottomless hunger. The creature emerged slowly, its sheer scale defying belief. Its body was serpentine, covered in thick, leathery scales that scraped against the rock. But its head was that of a monstrous, primeval elephant, complete with a powerful trunk and 2 enormous, curving tusks that were stained dark, as if with old blood. The Grootslang, it wasn't a myth, it was real. Panic erupted. The men screamed, dropping their bags of diamonds and scrambling for the exit. But the creature was deceptively fast. Its massive serpentine body uncoiled, blocking the entrance in a matter of seconds. It let out a deafening roar, a sound that was half trumpet, half reptilian shriek, shaking the very foundations of the cave. Grayson and his men were trapped. The creature's trunk whipped through the air, snatching one of the prospectors and lifting him effortlessly. The man's screams were cut short with a sickening crunch. The others fired their rifles, the bullets ricocheting harmlessly off the Grootslang's impenetrable hide. It was like throwing pebbles at a mountain. The beast was intelligent. It didn't just attack wildly. It toyed with them. It used the darkness and the confines of the cave to its advantage, its massive form appearing and disappearing in the shadows. One by one, the members of the expedition were picked off, their cries echoing briefly before being swallowed by the oppressive silence. Grayson, in a desperate act of survival, realized the creature wasn't just guarding the diamonds. It coveted them. In the stories, the Grootslang was said to be greedy, hoarding all the gems for itself. Thinking fast, Grayson emptied his own pockets, throwing a handful of the largest, most brilliant diamonds he had collected into a dark side tunnel. The creature's glowing eyes immediately swiveled to follow the sparkling stones. With a low rumble of what sounded like satisfaction, it slithered after them, its attention momentarily diverted. That was Grayson's chance. He didn't hesitate. He ran. He scrambled over the creature's tail, which still blocked most of the entrance, and burst out into the blinding desert sun, not daring to look back. He never stopped running. He left behind his equipment, his companions, and the fortune he had so desperately craved. He was the only one to ever emerge from the Wonder Hole. His story was widely dismissed as the ravings of a man driven mad by sunstroke and failure. No one believed him. No further expeditions were sent. Peter Grayson died a poor and broken man, haunted by the memory of those glowing green eyes and the sound of his friend's last moments. To this day, the Richtersveld remains a wild and sparsely populated area. The entrance to the Wonder Hole, if it ever truly existed, has been lost to time. Perhaps deliberately hidden by the shifting sands and rockfalls. But the legend persists. The legend of a cave of diamonds, and the ancient, terrible guardian that jealously protects its hoard. They say the Grootslang is still there, slumbering in the dark, surrounded by the bones of those who were foolish enough to challenge it, waiting for the next greedy soul to venture into its lair. So if you ever find yourself in that part of the world, and you stumble upon a dark cave that glitters from within, remember the tale of Peter Grayson. Remember that some treasures are not meant for mortals, and some legends are born from a terrifying truth. Because the Grootslang is patient, and it is always hungry. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy diving into the world's darkest legends, be sure to subscribe for more.